Anchor Church, welcome to this week's edition of Going Deeper. We truly believe that church does not just happen on Sundays. Sunday morning is valuable, but we want to be a church that is growing throughout the whole week and finding ways to engage with each other, engage with the Word, engage with the Lord all throughout the week. So this video is everything you need to take Sunday's content and take it deeper, make it more personal. Ideally, you don't just listen to this by yourself or watch this by yourself, but you have a conversation. Who in your household, what roommate can you have a conversation with? Maybe you meet up for coffee or you FaceTime somebody. But we're going to ask you some questions to take this morning's content and put it into application in your own life. If you ever need to push pause and discuss the conversation, feel free. But this should be a simple way for you to apply Sunday morning content into your life. We talked about Matthew chapter 14 today, where Jesus experienced some really bad news, tragic news. He had a storm of pain when John the Baptist was beheaded, a brutal murder. He hears the information, and then we talked about how Jesus responded to pain. And how are we as followers of Jesus, being anchored in Jesus, how do we respond to the storms of pain? So first question, we're just going to dive right in, is what pain are you facing in life? What pain are you facing? And everyone has different pains that they're walking through, and this is not a time to compare pain. Your pain is real. So what pain are you facing in life right now? Take time to consider that or to ask that question of each other. The next thing I want to ask you is, what comforts are you drawn to when you're in pain? We saw that Jesus, he wanted to be isolated, to go be alone. He got in a boat to get away from people. What is it that you go to? Again, for some people, it's substance. For some people, it's binge watching. Some people, it's romance. It's food. What is it in your life? What do you find yourself prone to go to bring those temporary comforts? Talk about that for a minute. But where we find ourselves needing to get to is where our anchor holds, behind the veil, the presence of God. And this is where Jesus knew he needed to get. And by the end of this story, he gets there and he spends at least 7 hours in isolation with God. So this is where we need to get, and where I challenge you to go with your pain. How can you find isolated time with God? So here's the question. When and where this week will you find time to be just you and the presence of God? When and where will you find time to be in the presence of God? That is where our anchor holds. Jesus is always leading us into the presence of God. This is where we find strength. This is where we find stability. This is where we find the endurance to move through this pain into the days that are ahead. So when and where are you this week going to find time to just be isolated in the presence of God? We talked about how oftentimes pain would want us to push pause on our purpose. That I'm going to wait till I'm better, till I'm healed, till I feel good before I continue to live out a life of purpose. And I want to challenge this because we see Jesus in sincere pain, dealing with grief. He steps off of this boat and there's 5,000 men plus women and children. And he finds the ability to say, you know what, I'm not going to let pain cause me to delay my purpose. And he loves and he heals and he feeds and he invests in the people in front of him. He goes to his isolated time, but he also finds ways to serve in the midst of his storm. So here's my question to you. Where can you serve in the middle of your storm? Who can you serve in the middle of your storm? There is pain, but your pain is not permanent, and there is purpose in the midst of your pain. There's an alliteration for you. There's purpose in your pain. How can you serve in your storm? Where can you find purpose in the midst of your pain? God isn't waiting for you to be storm-free, for you to be pain-free before he provides opportunities for you to love and serve and find purpose. So this week, look for those opportunities right on your doorstep to serve, to love, to engage the people around you. I love you so much, Anchor Church. Take this video and have a conversation. Chew on it. Maybe around the dinner table. Ask some of these questions of your family. But let's be a church that doesn't just go on Sundays, but we engage deeply with the content. We anchor ourselves to the truth of God's Word. We let it transform us into the image of its Creator. So have an amazing week. I love you so much, and we will see you next Sunday in person or online. Have an awesome week, Anchor Church.